Two pupils were in the midst of a sparring contest. One strike landed forcefully, and the pupil who received the blow complained that it stung like crazy. He chuckled it off. And the pupil who took the blow complained that it stung like hell. He chuckled it off. Observing that Suhong's Vajra fist had evidently enhanced again, he pondered aloud if Suong had already entered the micro level. Suong remained composed and responded that he had only advanced to the micro level 2 days prior. Suong remained composed and responded that he had just advanced to the micro level 2 days prior. In this realm, martial arts were categorized into distinct tiers. Basic, skilled, micro-level, mastered, and flawless. Attaining the micro-level already placed someone well ahead of the majority of their contemporaries. The other pupil couldn't help but respect him, stating that when it came to the Vajra fist, no one else in their class could even match. He then inquired if Suong was finished resting so no one else in their group could even match. He then inquired if Suong was finished resting so they could proceed practicing. But the ache from that solitary punch was still throbbing, could carry on practicing. But the ache from that solitary blow was still throbbing, and he genuinely had no desire of receiving another strike. Referring to Suong as a cultivation enthusiast, he dismissed him and mentioned he was going home to dine. Before exiting the training hall, he courteously bid farewell to Teacher Lee. Before departing the training hall, he courteously bid farewell to Teacher Lee. Teacher Lee advised him to tidy up his attire before stepping out. Instructor Lee cautioned him to tidy up his attire before stepping outside. Then the instructor faced Suong and halted him. He inquired why Suong still hadn't settled the $30,000 enrollment fee for the martial arts department, reminding him that applications were ending next month. Suong paused for a moment before requesting if he could be granted a few more days. Suong paused for a moment before inquiring if he could be granted a few additional days. Teacher Lee exhaled, stating he comprehended Suhong's family circumstances. Instructor Lee sighed, stating he comprehended Suhong's family circumstances. But regulations were regulations, and there was nothing he could do to alter them. After everyone else had departed, Suong remained and continued to rehearse alone. After everyone else had departed, Suong remained and persisted in practicing solo. No matter how many times he reiterated his forms, one idea kept revolving in his mind. Regardless of how many times he reiterated his forms, one idea continued to revolve in his mind. The $30,000 enrollment charge. His recollections floated back to the past. The $30,000 enrollment charge. His recollections floated back to the past. When he was 3 years old, his guardians had perished during a calamity caused by savage creatures. Since then, he had resided with his uncle and aunt. After they uncovered his aptitude for martial arts, they had done everything in their capability to assist his training. In a time where savage creatures wandered freely, becoming a martial artist was in an age where fierce creatures wandered freely, becoming a martial practitioner was the optimal way to earn decent income. He had trained diligently to provide them a better existence. Optimal method to acquire substantial income. He had prepared diligently to provide them a superior existence. Yet at this moment, it seemed as though he was merely complicating matters for them. Subsequently, he went back to a peaceful area of the city. Later, he came back to a peaceful nook of the city. Reaching the small, dilapidated apartment he referred to as home. Within, his aunt inquired gently if the rent was nearly due and how much cash they were. Inside, his aunt inquired gently if the rent was nearly due and how much cash they were still lacking. His uncle replied that the rent could hold off and that Little Hong's enrollment fee. Still brief. His uncle stated the rent could postpone and that Little Hong's enrollment fee needed to be settled first. His aunt concurred, noting that with such ability, Suong was certain to thrive one day and they couldn't afford to hinder him. Then she remarked nonchalantly that she would cease taking her medication. It wasn't healing her anyway and halting would save them cash. His uncle promptly protested, telling her he would simply take on another job instead. He urged her to remain home, rest adequately, and concentrate on her well-being, assuring her that everything else would fall into place. Hearing all of this from the shadows, Suong felt a sharp pain in his chest. Hearing all of this from the darkness, Suong felt a sharp pain in his chest and a surge of sorrow washed over him. He couldn't help but think that this was a foolish, chaotic world. It had distorted his life into something he hardly recognized. Everywhere he glanced, individuals were avaricious. Even if someone merely wanted to sign up for something they were skilled at, they still had to spend money for it. Money he had no skill for acquiring. If he had truly been adept at generating income, he likely wouldn't have had. If he had truly been skilled at generating income, he likely wouldn't have possessed talent for martial arts at all. The more he contemplated it, the more absurd the world appeared. Pushing those gloomy thoughts aside, the wilder the world appeared. Pushing those gloomy thoughts aside, he opened the door and announced that he was home. His aunt, who cared for him like her own child, immediately fretted over him, asking why he had rehearsed so late and telling him he must be weary. Suong attempted to take over the tasks, telling her he would manage them, but she dismissed him. She insisted it was trivial and told him to go relax so he wouldn't be fatigued the following day. His uncle supported her, telling him to heed and go to sleep promptly. Suong went back to his room to hear and retire to bed swiftly. Suong went back to his chamber but slumber would not arrive. He rested there, fully alert, his mind racing in loops. His uncle and aunt had already given up so much for him. He couldn't continue allowing that to occur. This time he would resolve his own issue. For a martial artist to gain tens of thousands in merely a few days, there was only one location that sprang to mind. The very next day, a booming proclamation resonated through the avenues. The very following day, a boisterous proclamation resonated through the avenues. The audience was invited to the Martial Apprentice Arena contest. The audience was greeted to the Martial Apprentice Arena Challenge, a location where only triumph or loss counted irrespective of existence or demise. It was the clandestine martial arena. The speaker's voice ascended with, "It was the subterranean combat arena." The speaker's voice elevated with enthusiasm as she presented the ring protector for the day, a combatant named Mr. Minotaur. The regulations were straightforward. A combatant named Mr. Minotaur. The guidelines were straightforward. If he could triumph in 4 contests consecutively, he would depart with 60,000 in reward money. If not, he would receive nothing. The spectators were instructed to observe attentively. The crowd instantly burst into murmurs. No one identified him. The crowd instantly burst into murmurs. No one identified him. Some speculated he was a novice, while others derided, claiming a newcomer diving directly into the arena contest was essentially inviting disaster. Off to the side, the announcer bent down and murmured to the boy. Off to the side. The commentator leaned over and murmured to the kid to display some enthusiasm and intensify the ambience. The boy appeared puzzled and inquired how he was meant to accomplish that. The commentator exhaled and instructed him to incite the audience or swear a bit, muttering that this was precisely why newcomers were such a nuisance. Understanding struck the Minotaur. Awareness struck the Minotaur. Emitting a bellow, he proclaimed that beneath the rank of a formal martial artist, he was unbeatable, inviting all feeble ones to come and battle him. The audience erupted simultaneously. Some condemned him for being ridiculously conceited. The audience erupted simultaneously. Some condemned him for being ridiculously conceited, while others chuckled and admired his bravery. The ambience immediately surged. Someone in the audience scoffed that this fellow wouldn't even realize how he perished later. That merely ignited the spark. Applause burst forth from every angle. That merely ignited the fuse. Cheers burst forth from every angle. Some individuals shouted their endorsement, others yelled for vengeance, and a few just hurled insults at the so-called Minotaur. With the ambience at its zenith, the announcer proclaimed that the contest had officially commenced. Behind the Minotaur mask, Su Hong remained composed. Officially commenced. Behind the Minotaur disguise, Su Hong remained composed. He could distinctly sense the intense murderous intent characteristic of the underground arena. Nevertheless, this was the quickest method to accumulate sufficient tuition funds. As long as he could triumph in a few rounds with his Vajra fist, it would be worthwhile. His initial adversary advanced, labeling him an insolent kid and stating he would toy with him. His initial adversary advanced, labeling him a conceited kid and stating he would toy with him a bit. Su Hong hardly focused, his gaze coolly assessing the man. A bit. Su Hong hardly focused, his eyes coolly assessing the man. The rival's energy was powerful, but his stance was shaky. From the appearance of it, victory wouldn't be hard. Noticing him zone out, the rival swore and rushed straight in with a blow. Noticing him zone out, the rival cursed and lunged directly in with a blow. Su Hong evaded it smoothly, then nonchalantly swung his other hand. Su Hong evaded it smoothly, then nonchalantly swung his other hand. The blow struck firmly on the man's jaw, propelling him directly back to. The blow struck directly on the man's chin, propelling him backward to where he had originated. The commentator immediately lost her poise. Where he had originated from. The announcer immediately lost her poise. She was already beginning to adore this masked combatant, even jesting to herself that she might want to invite him out later. Chuckling into the microphone, she exclaimed that Minotaur had secured his first victory. Giggling into the microphone, she exclaimed that Minotaur had secured his initial victory. The audience erupted with enthusiastic yells and applause. A second contender approached, sneering that the previous fellow had merely been unfortunate. A second contender approached, sneering that the previous individual had merely been unfortunate. But circumstances would be distinct this time. Su Hong merely responded with a nonchalant, but matters would be distinct this time. Su Hong merely responded with a nonchalant, please, while coolly assessing his adversary. Based on his physique, the fellow's strength appeared respectable, ideal for evaluating how formidable his Vajra fist truly was. The man yelled and sprang in with a forceful blow. Su Hong confronted the strike directly. The individual yelled and jumped in with a powerful blow. Su Hong confronted the assault directly. With one Vajra fist hit, he broke the approaching energy. With one Vajra fist hit, he broke the approaching force. The adversary shouted in surprise at the immense strength behind the strike. The adversary shouted in astonishment at the immense force behind the strike. Su Hong could already perceive the distinction. This individual was powerful but still less formidable than him. After enduring a solitary counterstrike, the opponent had depended too heavily on his upper. After delivering a solitary counterstrike, the adversary had depended excessively on his upper body power, leaving his midsection completely exposed. Su Hong continued with a vicious kick. Body power, leaving his midsection wide open. Su Hong followed up with a vicious kick, and the man was propelled off the stage just like the first one. The arena erupted. Some individuals cursed in disbelief, while others yelled that he was incredibly strong. Next, while others yelled that he was incredibly powerful. Next, the announcer enthusiastically proclaimed that Minotaur had secured 2 successive victories. The applause grew even louder, becoming nearly overwhelming. In a more subdued corner, a few elegantly attired onlookers observed with keen eyes. In a more tranquil nook, a handful of elegantly attired onlookers observed with keen gazes. One of them whispered that the youngster wasn't even a semi-martial artist, yet his power greatly exceeded the norm. There was no question about it. This one was exceptional. The commentator's voice echoed once more. This one was atypical. The announcer's voice echoed out once more, proclaiming Minotaur's 3rd successive victory. In the observation area, one of the men observing remarked that the kid was superior to the least, but far from the finest. Someone like that, he observed, was ideal material for match rigging. From behind him, a masked young man voiced, was ideal substance for match fixing. From behind him, a masked youth spoke up, stating he would go manage it. The elder man reminded him not to disclose the fact that he had already advanced to the martial artist level. After accumulating so many victories, Su Hong felt progressively assured. After accumulating so many victories, Su Hong felt progressively assured. Common martial trainees were no longer much of a test to him. With his Vajra fist at the micro level, winning one additional match would earn him the complete. With his Vajra fist at the microscopic level, winning one additional match would secure him the complete 60,000 prize money. Just then, the audience abruptly stirred. 60,000 reward money. Just then, the audience suddenly stirred. Individuals began yelling that White Fox was indeed entering the ring. The instant the masked combatant emerged, the venue exploded. The instant the masked combatant emerged, the arena exploded. Some shouted that White Fox was a semi-martial artist. Others argued that a semi-martial artist battling a martial novice was essentially unfair. Su Hong's heart dropped slightly. Was essentially deceiving. Su Hong's heart dropped slightly. A semi-martial artist? This contest was going to be difficult. Still, retreating wasn't a choice. He couldn't permit himself to fail now. White Fox halted in front of him and examined him coolly before speaking. White Fox halted in front of him and examined him serenely before speaking. He advised Su Hong not to be fearful, asserting he understood how to restrain his power. The announcer's voice interrupted once more, proclaiming the concluding match of the arena challenge. The announcer's voice interrupted once more, proclaiming the ultimate contest of the arena challenge and calling for the battle to commence. Both combatants surged ahead at maximum velocity. Su Hong instantly perceived the disparity in their abilities. Su Hong instantly perceived the disparity in their ranks. His cultivation was inferior, so he had no option but to exert himself fully with his initial strike. His punch surged ahead, generating noticeable shockwaves undulating through the atmosphere. His strike surged ahead, sending noticeable shockwaves undulating through the atmosphere. The impact rattled the ring as both parties exhibited terrifying strength. The moment their hands connected, Su Hong's heart missed a beat. The moment their fists collided, Su Hong's heart missed a beat. He realized something was amiss. His adversary wasn't a semi-martial artist at all. He was a genuine martial artist who had intentionally restrained his energy. A wave of anxiety swept over Su Hong. A wave of strain swept over Su Hong. He had never anticipated a creature like this to emerge from thin air. White Fox inhaled sharply and initiated another assault. White Fox inhaled sharply and initiated another assault, releasing the Thunder Rush Fist. One hit followed another in quick succession, each impact more forceful than the previous. Under the unyielding onslaught, Su Hong was pushed back, agony radiating through his body. Under the unyielding attack, Su Hong was pushed back, agony radiating through his body. So this was the power of a genuine martial artist. The audience was astonished. Someone identified the method. The audience was astonished. Someone identified the method, exclaiming that it was the 3 Echo Thunder Rush Fist. No one had anticipated witnessing such a maneuver here, and the shock alone was worth the admission fee. Others nodded in disapproval, claiming the Minotaur was done for. To them, the result was already clear. Yet White Fox displayed no desire to halt. Yet White Fox displayed no intention of halting. His assaults persisted one after another, exploiting the advantage without compassion. After a while, White Fox evidently began getting uninterested. He informed Minotaur that merely defending was futile, and encouraged him to retaliate, stating he wanted to witness what kind of power he truly possessed. For now, Minotaur could do nothing but shield. For the moment, Minotaur could do nothing but defend. Even through his barriers, the blows were ripping into him, agony spreading with every strike. If this continued, he understood he would be defeated for certain. He required an opportunity to retaliate. He required an opportunity to retaliate. But White Fox's blows were too swift and too unyielding, leaving no gaps whatsoever. Then White Fox discovered an opening himself. Then White Fox discovered an opportunity himself. A strike aimed directly at Minotaur's jaw. The collision propelled him airborne, and he slammed forcefully onto the earth. The influence propelled him airborne, and he slammed forcefully onto the earth. Reclining there, his sight dimmed as his awareness started to diminish. Reclining there, his sight hazy as his awareness started to diminish. Before he could regain himself, White Fox approached and spoke serenely. Before he could recuperate, White Fox approached and spoke serenely. He informed Su Hong that he wouldn't receive a single cent of the reward money from this contest. But his mentor was prepared to invite him in. If Minotaur consented to arrange matches for them in the future, they would compensate him the equivalent of this match's reward money. Even with White Fox's foot pressing down on his face, Minotaur declined without hesitation. He stated he would never do something so disgraceful. White Fox was momentarily taken aback. White Fox was momentarily surprised. He hadn't anticipated such a strong denial. Regaining his poise, he cautioned him to consider wisely, stating that declining them carried a cost he couldn't bear. Minotaur retorted, inquiring whether individuals who acted like this. Minotaur retorted, inquiring whether individuals who engaged in actions like this truly merited to refer to themselves as martial artists. That was sufficient. That was sufficient. White Fox stated there was nothing remaining to debate. As he pivoted to depart, he icily remarked that since Minotaur wouldn't assist, he had no option but to incapacitate him, guaranteeing he could only fantasize about being a martial artist in the future. As White Fox advanced to hit his leg, as White Fox shifted to hit his leg, those phrases resonated in Minotaur's thoughts, sharp and cutting. Become a fighter. A rush of intuition surged in. He turned away at the final instant, barely evading the strike. He turned aside at the final instant, narrowly evading the strike. He couldn't permit himself to be disabled. Compelling himself back up, Minotaur rejoined the battle. White Fox gazed in astonishment as Minotaur stabilized himself. White Fox gazed in astonishment as Minotaur balanced himself, his eyes blazing with resolve. He couldn't collapse here, not here. He couldn't collapse here, not here. Something broke within him and a second breath surged through his bruised body. White Fox couldn't conceal his astonishment. White Fox couldn't conceal his astonishment. He had evidently executed a thunder rush fist earlier, yet somehow this individual was still upright. Yet in his heart, Su Hong remained excruciatingly clear-headed. Yet in his heart, Su Hong stayed painfully clear-minded. He desired to become a martial artist. He couldn't permit the sacrifices his uncle and aunt had made over all these years to be squandered. He wanted to provide them a good life. But did that truly mean he had to forsake everything a martial artist was meant to represent? The response came almost immediately. No, that kind of future was something he would never tolerate. At that very instant, something unusual occurred. At that precise instant, something unusual occurred. A status window abruptly materialized directly in front of his gaze. Frigid, impassive words hovered on the display, inquiring what he was prepared to relinquish for his future and for his belief. Su Hong didn't waver. Su Hong didn't waver. His gaze blazed with intense determination as he responded, without the faintest uncertainty that he was prepared to sacrifice everything. The system inquired again if he was genuinely ready to pay the cost. The system inquired once again if he was genuinely prepared to pay the cost. Minotaur provided the identical response as earlier, everything. Minotaur provided the identical response as earlier, everything. The instant the term departed his lips, something profound within him started to transform. His silhouette contorted and elongated. His silhouette contorted and elongated, morphing into the shape of a frightening creature. Su Hong was astonished. Su Hong was astonished. He didn't know where he was, and the silhouette hovering behind him belonged to a gigantic, unfamiliar being. Before he could inquire anything, the enormous entity spoke. Before he could inquire anything, the enormous presence spoke, providing him this opportunity. A peculiar aura enveloped Su Hong. A peculiar atmosphere enveloped Su Hong, and a status panel emerged, displaying all his information. Su Hong gazed in astonishment. Su Hong gazed in astonishment. It showcased every single one of his qualities. Acting on instinct, he pressed the mission segment. Acting on instinct, he pressed the mission segment, a notification for a random task. Way of the arena appeared. To conquer White Fox, he had to elevate his Vajra fist to mastered level and enhance his floating light palm and void step to micro level. It was a harsh challenge given his current low skill, but essential to access the beginner's guide. Su Hong was perplexed by the abrupt information. Su Hong was perplexed by the abrupt news, but before he could contemplate, a punch soared directly toward his face. Su Hong bent down instinctively. Su Hong flinched instinctively. When he glanced up, he halted. Standing in front of him was an exact duplicate. Standing before him was an impeccable duplicate. The replica moved with textbook technique, utilizing a degree of Vajra fist far surpassing his own. Every action was typical and exact. With such a faultless illustration right in front of him, with such a perfect illustration right in front of him, he couldn't let the chance pass. As he traded strikes with the duplicate, as he traded strikes with the clone, he understood this wasn't merely a battle, it was an instruction. Halfway through, he observed his Vajra fist skill had surged. Midway through, he observed his Vajra fist skill had surged. It rose from 7% to 10% in moments. It shifted from 7% to 10% in seconds. The enhancement was astonishingly quick. So this was the secret. So this was the tactic. This location permitted him to swiftly enhance his martial arts abilities. He continued battling, acquiring knowledge and modifying his technique with each encounter. He continued battling, acquiring knowledge and modifying his technique with each encounter. His skill ascended further until it ultimately reached 100%. His expertise ascended further until it ultimately reached 100%. His hovering luminous palm attained complete command. His hovering luminous hand attained complete control, and he propelled the duplicate soaring. His empty stride ensued, achieving total expertise. His empty stride ensued, attaining complete mastery. Ultimately, the Vajra hand was refined. Fatigue caught up to him. Fatigue caught up to him. Breathing deeply, Suong nodded to the vacant atmosphere. Thanks a bunch. The system praised him on finishing the task. The system praised him on finishing the task. Suong received the prizes and promptly decided to go back to reality. Immediately, he was back in the arena donning the Minotaur mask. Immediately, he was back in the stadium donning the Minotaur mask, facing White Fox. White Fox scoffed and released another wave of deafening punches. White Fox scoffed and released another series of booming punches. The hits were intense, but Minotaur coolly observed they were too sluggish. He glided past each attack with grace. He glided past every blow with grace. Before White Fox could respond, Su Hong's punch collided with his face. The mask fractured and White Fox tumbled to the earth. The mask broke and White Fox fell to the earth. The audience halted, gazing in astonishment. Minotaur coolly requested his reward money for triumphing in the fourth contest. Minotaur serenely requested his reward money for triumphing in the fourth contest. The astonished announcer stumbled for phrases before ultimately proclaiming Minotaur the victor of the 60,000 grand reward. In the crowd, the instructor scowled. In the crowd, the instructor scowled. A mere novice mastering the Vajra punch was unfeasible. Distrustful, he commanded his men to trail Minotaur. Doubtful, he commanded his men to track Minotaur and examine his identity. Exiting the arena, Suong felt he was being pursued. Departing the arena, Suong felt he was being pursued. He surged into action, his velocity skyrocketing as he disappeared from their view. The chasers halted in bewilderment, unable to locate him. Concealed securely, Suong taunted their awkward effort. Concealed securely, Suong ridiculed their awkward effort. An hour afterward, he came back home. His aunt and uncle were astonished by the huge stack of cash. His aunt and uncle were astonished by the substantial heap of cash. His uncle inquired if he had heisted a bank. Suong clarified he served as a sparring partner and the dojo master chose to support his education. The uncle questioned if it was the miserly dojo, but Suong merely requested them to believe him. Noticing his earnest demeanor, they grinned. Noticing his grave demeanor, they grinned. His uncle concurred that young Hong would never deceive, and they commemorated his promising future. That evening, Suong ascended onto the rooftop. That evening, Suong ascended onto the rooftop. Beneath the moonlight, he contemplated his circumstances. The examination costs, rent, and healthcare expenses were resolved. He chuckled in relief. He examined the system interface. He examined the system interface. He endured due to this enigmatic force. He observed a stat named martial value. A notification indicated he acquired 57 martial value points for vanquishing a superior level adversary. These could be utilized to enhance vitality and skills. Suong attempted it right away. When he allocated points to vitality, when he increased points to vitality, blazing energy erupted inside his body. His vitality attained 90. His energy reached 90. That was already the standard of a quasi-martial artist. He allocated the remaining points into vitality. He poured the leftover points into vitality. His body felt lighter, more powerful, and more vibrant. Suong tightened his fists. Suong tightened his fists. Even his injuries were mended, and he felt overflowing with energy. He felt a desire to challenge his newfound strength. He sensed a desire to evaluate his new strength. He jumped over the rooftops toward the fighting power tester at the school's training area. He reached Star City No. 1 High School soon after. He reached Star City No. 1 High School soon after. The location was tranquil, with a solitary Tier 1 combat power evaluator positioned there. Suong collected his energy, but chose to restrain himself. Suong collected his energy, but chose to restrain himself. Utilizing merely 70% of his power, his fists hit the device with a forceful impact. His hands hit the device with a sudden force. For a brief moment, the blow felt extremely weighty. Unexpectedly, the tester flickered and ceased. Abruptly, the tester flickered and ceased functioning. Astonished, he feared he would need to cover the cost for the subpar device and chose to depart. A voice yelled from behind, inquiring who was present. A voice yelled from behind, inquiring who was present. Suong dashed off without clarifying. An enraged caretaker hurried to the damaged device, swearing at the vandal. He presumed it was the typical troublemakers, Chunxian and Li Duo. He presumed it was the typical troublemakers, Chunxian and Li Duo, and vowed to instruct them when school commenced. The gymnasium at Star City No. 1 High School was crowded. The fitness center at Star City No. 1 High School was filled. Pupils filled every nook of the space, and Suong stood silently among them. While he waited, he heard someone refer to the fact that Chunxian had been assaulted. This instantly captured his interest, so he inquired what had occurred. A student close by clarified that Chunxian had shattered. A pupil nearby clarified that Chunxian had shattered the combat power gauge in the middle of the night and denied it. Because of that, the headmaster reprimanded him on the spot. Hearing this, Suong felt a bit uncomfortable. It turned out someone else had taken the responsibility for his error. At the same time, he felt eased. If he had been discovered, he never could have managed to cover the cost of that device. Before he could ponder it further, before he could contemplate it further, the announcer's voice resonated through the hall, instructing everyone to be silent. He declared that a special guest, a Tier 3 martial artist named Chunxian, was present to instruct them in a C-rank martial art called the Thunder Rush Fist. He urged the students to pay careful attention. The gym immediately burst into noise. The gym immediately burst with sound. Some students yelled that this was their initial time witnessing a Tier 3 martial artist in reality. Others discussed how C-rank martial arts typically require a fortune to master at external dojos. But the instant Suong heard the title, his eyes brightened. Thunder Rush Fist. That was the identical technique White Fox had employed in the underground arena. One strike generated the force of 3. The strength was indisputable. Outside of school, merely the enrollment fee. Outside of school, merely the enrollment cost to acquire knowledge like this would be substantial. There was no way he was going to overlook this opportunity. Chunxian didn't squander time with casual conversation. Chun-hsien didn't squander time with trivial conversation. He informed the students he would showcase the method 10 times from beginning to end. How much they grasped would rely completely on them. He moved ahead, assumed his position, and commenced. He advanced, assumed his position, and commenced. Yelling thunder rush fist, he delivered a blow. The power was fierce, and the noise of thunder echoed through the gym. As he showcased, he clarified the tiers. As he illustrated, he clarified the tiers. At the fundamental tier, a punch produces 1 thunderclap. At the skilled tier, it generates 3 sounds. At the miniature tier, it creates 5. At the expert tier, it forms 7 sounds. At the accomplished level, it produces 7 noises, which was his present level. As he completed the maneuver, 7 loud thunderous sounds resonated out, causing the air to tremble. After expending so much energy, Chun-hsien halted to regain his breath. He mentioned that, at the ideal level, one could produce 9 thunder sounds. However, he advised them not to set their sights too high. If they could merely understand the fundamentals today, that would be sufficient. After a brief pause, Chun-hsien declared the second demonstration and instructed everyone to attempt to keep up. The gym swiftly filled with students yelling. The fitness center swiftly filled with pupils yelling clumsy war cries as they attempted to mimic his actions. Hours flew by rapidly. One by one, students started to fall from fatigue. One by one, pupils started to fall from fatigue. Some grumbled that they couldn't grasp it at all, while others moaned about being completely depleted. A few persistent ones continued rehearsing, inquiring if anyone had discovered the secret, even though their bodies were giving up. One of Su-hong's companions wiped his perspiration inside. Stating that C-rank martial arts were simply too difficult to master. Glancing around, he noticed Su-hong was absent. Looking about, he recognized Su-hong was absent. For a moment, he pondered if Su-hong had already discovered it. But then he merely speculated where he had gone. Just then, joyful laughter echoed nearby. Enthusiastic laughter echoed nearby. Someone proudly declared that he had attained the fundamental level. The companion turned and noticed Chun-hsien appearing very satisfied with himself. A surge of envy struck him. No surprise, everyone referred to Chun-hsien as a prodigy. How was he so skilled at this? The principal swiftly moved forward. The headmaster swiftly advanced, presented Chun-hsien as the institution's leading talent, and inquired if Chun-hsien wished to mentor him. Pupils gathered around, labeling Chun-hsien a genuine whiz. Chun-hsien, however, appeared unfazed. He nonchalantly remarked this hardly qualified as being a genius. In other cities, this standard was merely typical. Subsequently, the group proceeded outdoors while maintaining their discussion. Later, the team relocated outdoors while maintaining their discussion. Chun-hsien expressed dissatisfaction to the principal that these pupils weren't remarkable at all, rendering the excursion feel like a squander of time. Deep down, he suspected the school prioritized more on students with wealth than skill. Still, to uplift his spirits, he contemplated how at least one student achieved the fundamental level and he received a good salary. He inquired of the principal if he truly anticipated discovering a top-notch prodigy here. The principal exhaled, conceding that the journey of martial arts was harsh. Skill was too vital. Diligence alone, without chance, simply wasn't sufficient. Just as they were conversing, a sudden sound resonated through the atmosphere. A sudden clamor resonated through the atmosphere. Both of them halted and promptly gazed toward where the noise originated. 7 booming sounds. 7-sound thunder rush fist. Their faces altered immediately. They couldn't fathom it, questioning how the school could have someone at that caliber. The principal was even more astonished. He stated it was inconceivable. He had never encountered someone like that in his school. The principal then recognized something else. The headmaster then understood something else. He didn't even identify that pupil. The child hadn't paid any additional charges. Gazing at his attire, his heart skipped a beat. That uniform evidently belonged to a student. The surprise struck him hard. If he had been stringent about the regulations, this student likely wouldn't have even been permitted in the class. Even Chantien was astonished. Even Chantien was astonished. He murmured that he had only instructed for half a day. Yet someone had already attained the mastered level. The principal's mind went blank. He inquired if he heard incorrectly. 9 sounds? Was that truly 9 sounds? Chantien couldn't articulate. He stood there quietly, feeling so overwhelmed. He almost wanted to weep. The principal wasn't faring much better. He never envisioned someone without wealth could possess such frightening talent. Noticing Chantien immobilized, the principal asked what was the matter. Noticing Chantien immobilized, the principal inquired what was the matter. Chantien ultimately breathed out and stated he comprehended now. Chantien finally breathed out and stated he comprehended now. Everything abruptly became clear. Without another remark, he assumed his position. Without another term, he assumed his position and launched a thunderous punch of his own. The atmosphere detonated. 8 booming noises echoed. The principal almost leaped. The headmaster almost leaped. 8 noises? Chantien had penetrated through. Chantien gazed at his own hand. Enthusiasm evident on his face. He mentioned that witnessing that pupil strike provided him the motivation he had been lacking for years. Without it, he might never have advanced in his lifetime. But then truth struck him. This was not the moment to rejoice. Chantien urgently informed the principal to rush and locate that student. The principal snapped out of it and genuinely began sprinting. Unfortunately, by the time they arrived at the location, regrettably, by the moment they arrived at the location, the student was already absent. As for Su Hong, he had already accomplished his objective. While departing, he contemplated how training a C-rank martial art was significantly more tiring than the D-rank Vajra fist. His Thunder Rush fist had already attained the flawless realm. His Thunder Rush punch had already attained the ideal domain. Now, the subsequent step was determining how to acquire more martial value points to become a genuine martial artist as quickly as possible. He couldn't jeopardize life and death battles in the underground arena every time. If he could obtain points through regular sparring, that would be far better. Shortly after, he reached his place of employment. Not long after, he reached his job, the Raging Thunder Dojo. Inside, pupils were practicing as usual when they noticed him. Spotted him. Someone inquired why he arrived today. Su Hong nonchalantly responded that he wasn't occupied and just dropped by to rehearse. Just then, a loud bang resonated across the hall. Throughout the corridor. A student was sent tumbling to the ground. Standing above him, another guy scoffed. Standing above him, another man scoffed. He stated that if anyone had the audacity to assert his instructor taught inadequately, they should first acknowledge they were simply poor at grasping concepts instead of offering justifications. Su Hong looked over and inquired what was occurring. His companion clarified that since Su Hong hadn't been present recently, he wouldn't be aware. That pupil's educator was a new teacher who was very powerful, but he regarded ordinary individuals with disdain and taught in a very lethargic manner. Additionally, his apprentice, a fellow named Li Yen, was also exceptionally strong. Just as they were conversing, another student was toppled. Another pupil was toppled. Li Yen gazed at him and scoffed, stating he shouldn't have the audacity to confront him with such a feeble standard. Before matters could deteriorate, Su Hong intervened and seized Li Yan's wrist, informing him that it was sufficient. Li Yan instantly scowled at him, inquiring who he was and instructing him to release his grip. He stated if Su Hong had the courage, they could resolve it appropriately in the arena one-on-one. Su Hong didn't yield and coolly consented. At that instant, a voice broke in, inquiring what the commotion was regarding and declaring that class was commencing. Li Yen retracted his hand and scoffed. Li Yan retracted his hand and scoffed, informing Su Hong he was fortunate this time. Observing him depart, Su Hong considered that this individual was excessively conceited. Shortly thereafter, the teacher addressed the group. Shortly thereafter, the teacher spoke out. He declared that today was the final day he would instruct the turbulent ocean spear method. As usual, he would only showcase it once. As customary, he would merely showcase it once. As he assumed his position, it was evident the teacher didn't trust anyone could grasp it from just one exhibition. Nevertheless, Su Hong observed with keen concentration. Still, Su Hong observed with keen concentration. For him, once was sufficient. His gaze tracked every motion. His gaze tracked every motion as the spear glided through the atmosphere. When the exhibition concluded, the teacher turned to depart, stating that how much they grasped was up to them. Grievances immediately erupted. Grievances promptly erupted. Some students labeled the one-time exhibition a fraud. Others lamented that those in the rear row couldn't even see distinctly. Su Hong, however, had already grasped the core of it. The spear surged like a dragon plunging into the ocean, its strength advancing like infinite waves. Grasping a spear himself, he started to advance. Grabbing a spear himself, he started to advance, flawlessly imitating what he had just observed. For an instant, everyone became quiet. For a moment, everyone became quiet. Then, the clamor burst forth. Individuals gazed in astonishment, yelling that Su Hong had truly mastered it. Others whispered that this was the first occasion they'd witnessed such a genius, while some resentfully questioned if they were simply too foolish to grasp it. Attracted by the commotion, Li Yan came back. Li Yan came back and inquired who had allegedly mastered the technique. He derided the notion. Then he noticed Su Hong. Observing Su Hong's spear move effortlessly, Li Yan's eyes narrowed. It truly did appear that he had grasped it. He felt a flicker of curiosity. Challenging someone like this would be enjoyable. Advancing, Li Yan shouted to him. Stepping ahead, Li Yan shouted to him, stating he would offer him a few tips on his spear skill. Li Yan seized his spear, spun it, and directed the tip at Su Hong, indicating him to proceed. He reiterated that he would instruct him a lesson. Su Hong merely consented. One of the pupils quickly attempted to prevent him. He cautioned that even though Li Yan was a wicked individual, he was indeed very powerful. So Su Hong shouldn't be rash. Su Hong merely smiled and advised him not to fret. Su Hong merely grinned and advised him not to fret. He advanced with his spear and assumed his stance. Confronting Li Yan, he courteously expressed that he anticipated his direction. That statement entirely triggered Li Yan. He retorted that Su Hong was being conceited and proclaimed that he would demonstrate the furious ocean spear technique at the micro level. Su Hong stayed composed. As he shifted his spear, he silently managed his strength, intentionally restraining it. Skilled level. He didn't wish to disclose everything. He only wanted the individual in front of him to perceive just how absurd he was behaving. The instant Su Hong's spear shifted, Li Yan halted. That movement, that force, it was undeniable. Skilled level raging sea spear technique. No matter how fiercely he attempted to refute it, the truth right in front of him wouldn't alter. Su Hong attained the skilled level. With his tumultuous sea spear technique. His motions flowed just like surging waves. When he released the assault, his adversary just halted. His rival just halted. He couldn't rely on his own vision. Su Hong was merely a martial novice. Not even a genuine martial artist yet. But somehow, he had perfected the raging sea spear to the skilled level. That was something even experts found challenging to achieve. But it was occurring right in front of him. A notification appeared for Su Hong. A message appeared for Su Hong. Overcame a superior level adversary, martial value plus 35. It succeeded. Even regular sparring awarded him points. He didn't need to gamble with his life every time. He could become more powerful just by battling intelligently. Meanwhile, the rival was flustered inside. Meanwhile, the adversary was fretting inside. This is unfeasible. Absolutely unfeasible. I prepared for years and he accomplished this so swiftly. Was all my effort for naught? He felt utterly defeated. Before matters escalated. Su Hong retracted his spear. That's sufficient, he stated coolly. Just then, the instructor arrived. Just then, the teacher appeared. He observed what occurred and promptly intervened to reprimand his pupil. The fellow attempted to dispute. The man attempted to dispute, but the teacher struck him forcefully across the cheek. If you can't manage defeat, he yelled. If you can't manage losing, he yelled. You aren't a genuine martial artist. The audience adored it. That guy was always arrogant, so witnessing him get humbled felt wonderful. The instructor turned to gaze at Su Hong, astonished. The teacher turned to gaze at Su Hong, astonished. Su Hong only demonstrated the maneuver once, but he had already perfected it. Even the prodigies in the capital couldn't achieve that. Your ability is frightening, the teacher remarked. Your skill is frightening, the teacher remarked. My pupil is conceited, but encountering you is beneficial for him. He inclined his head slightly. Younger sibling, I did not succeed in teaching him etiquette. Please pardon us. Su Hong was astonished. Su Hong was astonished. He didn't anticipate the man's demeanor to shift so quickly. This guy alters expressions faster than turning a book page. He pondered departing the training grounds. He considered departing the training area. He felt fatigued, but it was a beneficial fatigue. He accomplished a great deal today. He perfected the Thunder Rush Fist and the Raging Sea Spear. He perfected the Thunder Surge Punch and the Tumultuous Ocean Spear. Additionally, he gained a wealth of martial worth. Strolling through his high school grounds, strolling through his secondary school grounds, he contemplated his upcoming actions. The admission test was approaching quickly. Wealthy students were already purchasing premium metal arms. Wealthy children were already purchasing premium metal arms. To rival, he required one as well. He could still sense the spear in his grasp. I'll remain with the spear, he resolved. I'll remain with the spear, he resolved. He required to obtain a genuine metal spear and quickly, but he was penniless. He scarcely had sufficient for his aunt's healthcare expenses, much less a firearm that cost $70,000, but he wouldn't surrender. There had to be a method. Abruptly, a proclamation broadcasted throughout the city. Abruptly, a declaration echoed throughout the city. Savage creatures were assaulting the countryside. The city ruler was recruiting fighters to track them down for substantial prizes. Su Hong realized immediately this was his opportunity. Su Hong realized immediately this was his opportunity. When he arrived home later, his aunt was occupied working just like usual. She advised him not to strain himself too much. She advised him not to exert himself too much since he had already provided them funds. His uncle insisted on laboring, stating he wouldn't depend on Su Hong as long as he could still function. They welcomed him warmly when he entered. He instructed them to relax and allow him to handle matters. He clarified that he could earn money now. His uncle chuckled. His relative chuckled. He mentioned that seemed pleasant, but he couldn't merely lounge about doing nothing. He wished to continue making money for their everyday requirements. His aunt grinned as well. She mentioned they needed to set aside funds so Su Hong could concentrate on his training. Hearing that caused Su Hong's heart to hurt. Listening to that caused Su Hong's heart to hurt. They had existed modestly for such a long time. Unless he earned sufficient income to ensure their future, they would never cease laboring so diligently. That evening on the rooftop, he accessed his status panel. That evening on the terrace, he accessed his status panel. The wilderness was perilous, so he required to be more powerful. He poured all his leftover martial value into his vitality stats. Energy surged through him. Energy flowed through him. His blood thundered and his muscles tensed. The figure ascended until it reached 95.2. He felt like a creature poised to attack. He was now merely one small step away from becoming a true martial artist. 2 days later, late in the evening, 2 days afterward, late in the evening, he reclined on the gym ground, completely exhausted, but his eyes were gleaming. He had refined all his abilities: Thunder Rush Punch, Raging Ocean Spear, Vajra Punch, and Floating Light Palm. He breathed out profoundly. He breathed out profoundly. 2 days of continuous practice had yielded results. Now it was moment to depart. The following morning, he proceeded to the Star City Martial Artist Facility. When he arrived, he paused, astonished. He had viewed it on television. He had observed it on TV, but being present was distinct. The location was crowded with powerful martial artists. He examined the bounty board. He examined the reward board. Non-ranked creatures were valued at 300 coins. Tier 1 early phase were 1,000. Mid-phase were 3,000 and late phase were 5,000. Su Hong scowled at the regulations. Su Hong scowled at the regulations. They solely acknowledged the left ear as evidence for the prize. It appeared quite outdated. Nearby, a man placed a bloody bag on the counter. Close by, a man tossed a bloody bag onto the counter. "Miss, tally these for me," he stated. The sack was packed with ears. Abruptly, there was a disturbance at the entrance. Unexpectedly, there was a disturbance at the entrance. "Clear the way," someone yelled. "Young Master E has arrived." The throng stepped aside. The throng shifted aside. Su Hong noticed a haughty-looking fellow strolling in. He appeared recognizable. He appeared recognizable. Su Hong scowled. That aura. It brought to mind someone. Individuals murmured around him. Individuals murmured around him. If his uncle weren't the chief, he'd be deceased by now. "I heard he got assaulted recently. Deserves it." "Really? No surprise he's been concealing himself." Su Hong heard, then glanced up. Su Hong heard, then glanced up. Their gazes connected for a moment. They acknowledged one another. The atmosphere became strained. Su Hong understood something. Su Hong understood something. The creatures weren't the only threat out here. Individuals were perilous too. He reminded himself to remain vigilant. He instructed himself to remain vigilant. As he departed, an unfamiliar person remarked on how youthful he appeared. "First time venturing out solo?" the man inquired. Su Hong merely nodded and continued walking. Behind him, the man shook his head. Behind him, the man nodded his head. "Just another youth hurrying to perish," he murmured. Su Hong entered the wild and surveyed the surroundings. Su Hong entered the wilderness and surveyed the surroundings. The forest was calm and serene, but he remained vigilant. He couldn't return without anything. 2 hours later, he was deep in the timberland. 2 hours later, he was immersed in the forest. He took a gulp of water, scowling. No creatures in sight. Perhaps the surrounding region had already been searched thoroughly. He resolved to proceed quicker and venture even further. He chose to proceed quicker and delve even further. Suddenly, his expression altered. A colossal form obstructed his way. A colossal figure obstructed his way. It was enormous and frightening, precisely like in the novels. A savage creature. Su Hong recognized what it was instantly. Su Hong recognized what it was instantly. A blue moon wolf. A Tier 1 early-stage creature. It gazed at him with crimson eyes. It gazed at him with crimson eyes, displaying its fangs and snarling. It was certainly famished. The wolf hunched, prepared to leap. Su Hong inhaled deeply and braced himself. Su Hong inhaled deeply and prepared himself. It was moment to battle. As the wolf leaped at him with exposed talons, as the wolf leaped at him with exposed claws, Su Hong responded in an instant. He evaded the assault and delivered a lightning-infused punch. He evaded the assault and delivered a lightning-infused blow directly into its abdomen. The force propelled the creature soaring. The effect propelled the creature soaring, its enormous form crashing into a tree with a loud thump. The wolf collapsed to the earth, immobilized. The wolf collapsed to the earth, immobilized. Su Hong loomed above it, sparks of electricity still sizzling around his fists. Gazing at his quaking hands, gazing at his quivering hands, he sensed the energy flowing within him. Battling genuine fierce creatures was far more exhilarating than he had envisioned. Defeating a Tier 1 early-stage beast in a single strike. Taking down a Tier 1 early-stage creature in one strike got his blood racing. If this was so simple, he pondered how he would manage a mid-stage creature. Just then, he detected motion. Just then, he detected motion. A colossal shape appeared from the darkness, a deep growl resonating through the woods. It was an enraged black bear, a Tier 1 mid-stage creature. It rushed forward instantly, believing it had discovered a simple meal. But before it could attack, but prior to it being able to attack, a streak of movement collided with it directly. A powerful, lightning-charged punch crashed into the bear. A forceful, lightning-charged fist struck the bear, sending it directly to the earth. Su Hong maintained his position, composed. Su Hong maintained his position, composed. He had defeated the creature with his own might. Breathing out gently, he recognized how strong he had grown. Unless he encountered a Tier 2 creature, he was secure here. That was another 3,000 in reward guaranteed. That was yet another 3,000 in reward obtained. Unexpectedly, a system alert appeared. His amassed martial worth was at last sufficient to surpass and transform into a martial artist. Su Hong's heart raced. He was at the brink. But before he could rejoice, but prior to him being able to rejoice, a frightening roar trembled the woods. The tension was severe, causing his skin to prickle. His demeanor soured immediately. He faced the sound. He shifted toward the commotion, squinting his eyes. Whatever produced that noise was far more powerful than anything he'd encountered thus far. Curiosity and wariness battled in his thoughts. Inquisitiveness and prudence battled in his thoughts. But inquisitiveness triumphed. He advanced silently toward the bellow, arriving at a towering rock structure, arriving at a towering stone structure. He ascended to obtain a clearer perspective. What he observed caused him to pause his breathing. A gigantic ebony-scaled dragon. A gigantic black-scaled dragon was curled among the trees. It was a Tier 1 late-stage creature, a black jade python. Its dimensions were enormous, and its presence was frightening. A crowd of individuals was battling it nearby. A crowd of individuals was battling it close by, but they were evidently failing. One by one, they were thrown aside. One by one, they were thrown aside, entirely overwhelmed. Su Hong observed, heart racing. This was an entirely different tier. Suddenly, his instincts shouted peril. He jumped aside just in time. He jumped aside just in time. The monster's barbed tail struck down precisely where he had been positioned, shattering the earth. The being wasn't content. The being wasn't content. It was enraged that its quarry had evaded. Su Hong hardly touched down before he had to leap again. Su Hong hardly touched down before he had to leap again, narrowly evading a sweeping blow. Even so, the assault was so swift it brushed against him. Even so, the assault was so swift it brushed against him, sending a surge of agony through his body. He understood just how quick this entity truly was. He understood just how quick this object truly was. Regaining his stability, he observed an injured combatant nearby, incapable of moving. Disregarding his own agony, Su Hong seized the dropped fighter's armament, murmuring that he'd take it for a moment. Murmuring that he'd lend it for a moment. He faced the creature again. The python lifted up, jaws wide ajar, prepared to attack once more. Su Hong hardly evaded. Su Hong narrowly evaded, tumbling aside just in the nick of time. Clambering to his feet, his thoughts raced. Hastily getting to his feet, his thoughts surged. A Tier 1 late-stage creature typically required an entire squad to conquer. Yet here he stood, battling one directly. It was due to his abilities being now refined. It was due to the fact that his abilities were now refined. Utilizing his void step, he zipped around, evading strikes with dazzling swiftness. Noticing a gap, he retaliated. Thrusting the spear ahead with the furious ocean spear method. The point penetrated the creature's armor. Causing it to bellow in anger. The python flailed wildly and seethed from the agony. Su Hong didn't halt. He hit again, smooth and exact, driving the beast into a rage. Still, he understood the reality. With a physique that enormous, delivering a fatal strike wouldn't be simple. The size disparity made striking a crucial area. The dimension disparity made striking a crucial area exceptionally difficult. He reminded himself to remain calm. He had to diminish it first and wait for the perfect moment. Just then, the creature struck out again. Its enormous form colliding toward him with overpowering strength. Su Hong unleashed an ideal, thunderous punch. The explosive power confronted the creature directly, halting it in its path. A shockwave surged through the atmosphere as both of them reeled back. Su Hong realized he couldn't remain near. Su Hong understood he couldn't remain near after landing a strike. He had to retreat instantly and search for another opportunity. One error signified demise against a being like this. His respiration was becoming more labored. This combat technique was draining, but it was his sole secure choice. Nevertheless, the python was fatigued as well. Its motions were decelerating. The creature was approaching its threshold. Just a bit more, he considered. If I maintain this, I can triumph. He braced himself for the upcoming round. Eyes fixed on the creature. Suddenly, a frigid shiver ran down his spine. Abruptly, a frigid shiver coursed down his back. Something was amiss. Before he could respond, a fierce impact struck him from the side. He soared through the atmosphere, colliding forcefully with the earth. Gasping for air, he compelled himself to turn over, scarcely intercepting a subsequent assault. The collision shook his skeleton. The effect shook his bones. He had been surprised. Striving to his feet, he yelled, "Who's present?" Multiple shapes emerged from the darkness. Numerous silhouettes emerged from the darkness. One chuckled boisterously, ridiculing him. "How does it feel to be taken by surprise? Perhaps you ought to simply surrender the black jade python to us." Su Hong's gaze sharpened as he identified the orator. Su Hong's gaze narrowed as he identified the speaker. His heart dropped. Genuine trouble had come. Su Hong found himself in a difficult situation. Su Hong discovered himself in a difficult situation as he became encircled by a sizable crowd of thugs who had a negative past with him. The chief taunted him. The chief ridiculed him, stating that when he observed Su Hong departing the city by himself, he was certain Su Hong would perish out here. He confessed he didn't anticipate Su Hong to possess such good fortune. Not only had Su Hong endured, but he even succeeded in plundering a severely wounded black jade giant python. The leader gazed at the nearby python, which was scarcely clinging to existence, and sensed that this was an ideal chance for him to seize everything. Su Hong understood that since the man mentioned he collected the python, they must have only just come. He observed that all 5 of them were combatants. With the odds against him, he recognized he couldn't confront them all directly. Abruptly, one of the goons lunged at him. Hand lifted. He yelled that young master desired this python and questioned why Su Hong hadn't fled yet. Su Hong became irritated by the insolence. The disrespect and directed a substantial amount of energy into his hand. He informed them that the sole reason he was pushed back previously was due to a surprise assault, inquiring if they truly believed he couldn't defeat them. Su Hong delivered a blow that struck directly. Su Hong delivered a blow that struck directly against the adversary's fist, unleashing a shockwave of energy. The thug was astonished by the abrupt force and understood just how frightening Su Hong's strength truly was. Su Hong didn't halt there. Su Hong didn't halt there. He followed through with a strike directly to the guy's face, propelling him backward toward the remainder of the group. The leader acknowledged the maneuver instantly. The chief acknowledged the action instantly. It was the formidable Vajra fist. He understood this truly was the individual referred to as Minotaur. The chief was sincerely amazed. The chief was truly astonished by the exhibition of power. However, Su Hong identified the chief as well. It was White Fox. White Fox asserted that Su Hong embarrassed him. White Fox asserted that Su Hong embarrassed him in front of a gathering, something no one had ever done to him previously. Enraged by the recollection, White Fox resolved he wouldn't allow this to pass. He commanded his men to bring Su Hong down without delay. The team surged ahead with their arms ready. The team hurried ahead with their arms raised. Su Hong swiftly seized his spear and sprinted into the wilderness to establish space. White Fox would not allow him to flee. White Fox denied him the chance to flee and ordered everyone to pursue him, leading the group as they raced after Su Hong. They searched the countryside. They searched the wilderness, inspecting every potential hiding place. One thug complained that they couldn't locate him, while another cautioned that the thick forest ahead was ideal for an ambush, advising everyone to stay vigilant. One of them stayed arrogant though. He stated that with so many individuals on their side, there was no cause to be fearful of just one person. But in a moment, a silhouette darted behind him at dazzling velocity. The thug whirled around and positioned right there was Su Hong. The thug twirled around and standing right there was Su Hong. Su Hong delivered a devastating blow, propelling the man through the air until he landed right in front of his commander. That guy was certainly knocked out completely. That fellow was certainly knocked out completely. The chief was astonished, pondering how Su Hong could possibly move that swiftly. White Fox couldn't trust his vision. After witnessing that savage assault, the remainder of the team swiftly created a protective circle, frightened of being the next target. One thug recognized the technique as the 9 Echoes Thunder Rush Fist, observing that even Tier 3 martial artists found it difficult to master. White Fox became exasperated and shouted at them to be quiet. Internally, he was in a frenzy, believing that mastering both the Vajra Fist and Thunder Rush Fist ought to be unachievable. He was beginning to experience genuine dread. His dread would have only intensified. His anxiety would have merely increased if he realized that Su Hong was presently concealing herself in a tree above, observing their every action. To Su Hong, they appeared like rodents being pursued by a feline. He believed that if he hadn't squandered so much strength battling the python earlier, he would have defeated them directly. He hurled his spear to generate a diversion, intending to eliminate them one by one. The spear struck the earth nearby. The spear crashed into the earth nearby, shocking the entire group. While they were preoccupied by the spear, Su Hong descended, seized one of the thugs, and assaulted. Following the swift blow, after the sudden attack, he disappeared back into the darkness. The remaining thugs were now utterly frightened. They felt like even staying united wouldn't protect them against someone this fierce. They pleaded with young Master Yi to depart, saying the boy was too powerful, but the leader declined to heed. White Fox's pride wouldn't allow him to flee. He wished to demonstrate his strength, even though he was frightened beneath the surface. He proclaimed that he needed to eliminate Su Hong today. Meanwhile, Su Hong was zipping around them at such rapid velocities that they could hardly follow him. Suddenly, abruptly, while White Fox was still speaking, Su Hong dashed by. Before the leader could respond, another thug was seized and hurled into the earth. Just like previously, Su Hong vanished instantly after the assault. White Fox's anxiety transformed into irritation. White Fox's anxiety transformed into irritation. He couldn't comprehend how this child grew so much more powerful in merely a few days. It seemed unbelievable. Then, a streak darted right behind him. Then, a haze darted right behind him. White Fox spun around but noticed nothing. He swore, unwilling to accept Su Hong could surprise him. But the instant he turned back around, Su Hong emerged right in front of him, prepared to attack. White Fox responded immediately, turning around and yelling that he hadn't been defeated yet. He collected magical energy into his hand and hit, exclaiming that this was the void-shattering finger. Su Hong evaded the strike with a fluid motion. The tree behind him absorbed the blow instead. The power of White Fox's assault was tremendous, utterly splintering the tree trunk. White Fox didn't relent. Observing Su Hong evade, he discharged beam after beam, continuously yelling the name of his assault. Regardless of how many times he shot, no matter how many times he shot, Su Hong was too swift and evaded every bullet. While evading, Su Hong assessed the strength, believing the technique must be at least B rank. He found it intriguing and resolved he might want to master it later. White Fox, however, was losing his sanity. His finger shimmered with blue energy as he yelled that Su Hong had created a lasting foe. He warned that once he returned, he would eradicate Su Hong's whole family. The instant Su Hong heard the menace against his family, perceived the menace towards his family, something broke within him. Endangering his family was entirely intolerable. Menacing his family was entirely intolerable. Fueled with fury, he ceased evading and charged directly at White Fox. White Fox attempted to frighten him by boasting about his history, stating that his uncle was a manager at the martial artist base, and his father was a notable figure. Before he could complete his statement, Su Hong was already directly in front of him, emanating a frightening force. Su Hong remained quiet initially, allowing his strength to communicate for itself. As he prepared a tremendous blow, he eventually spoke, informing White Fox that he appeared more impressive when he was behaving conceited. He mentioned that this pleading didn't fit him, but he was going to relish concluding this. Su Hong struck White Fox directly in the face, propelling him backward. The force behind the hit was immense. The strike was immense. White Fox was propelled soaring deep into the woods, smashing through trees before striking the ground forcefully. Dust and smoke enveloped the atmosphere from the collision. Dirt and haze filled the atmosphere from the collision. When the debris cleared, Su Hong approached with an enraged demeanor, a crimson glow enveloping his form. He informed White Fox that he ought to have never utilized his family as a menace. Reclining on the earth, shattered and oozing, White Fox inquired in astonishment why Su Hong was so powerful. He maintained this was inconceivable since Su Hong wasn't even meant to be a martial artist yet. Abruptly, the enormous python behind him detected the sound and fixed its gaze on White Fox. White Fox sensed a shiver travel down his back. He glanced back just as the python lashed its enormous tail and attacked with its mouth agape. With White Fox removed, the python directed its complete focus to Su Hong. Su Hong understood that battling the thugs had consumed too much time, allowing the enormous python to regain its strength. Now he had to confront the creature once more, but this time he was the one depleting in energy. The team of martial artists was seething after their embarrassing loss. One of them swore, labeling the kid who triumphed over them far too strange. Another glanced around, inquiring where young Master Yi was, wishing he had already dealt with the kid. Just then, they noticed the same young man who had conquered them, and he was hurrying directly toward them again. Believing he was back for another bout, believing he had returned for another bout, they promptly prepared for a confrontation. The kid finally reveals himself, one of them yelled, while another promised not to let him go this time. However, Su Hong had no desire to battle them. He continued sprinting, coolly instructing them to move aside. A moment later, a moment afterward, they observed precisely why he was sprinting. A colossal, furious giant python was close behind him. The view rendered them all voiceless with fear. The python darted at Su Hong. The python lunged at Su Hong. But with his spear in grasp, he skillfully jumped aside, evading the lethal blow. Unfortunately, one of the other martial artists wasn't as swift. The python seized him up instead. A system alert appeared for Su Hong. Opponent martial artist, indirectly eliminated. Pleasant 30, martial worth. The python attacked again. The python attacked again, ensnaring another man who couldn't flee. A second alert emerged with the identical message, awarding Su Hong another 30 martial value. Su Hong was astonished, understanding he could earn points even when he wasn't the one delivering the final strike. The python promptly redirected its focus back to Su Hong. The python swiftly redirected its focus back to Su Hong, striking out with its strong tail. He jumped over the assault, persistently avoiding the creature's cunning, full-body blows. As he sprinted and sidestepped, Su Hong recognized that with all the points he had gathered, he finally possessed sufficient martial value to advance and become a genuine martial artist. Weaving through the trees, winding through the trees, Su Hong effortlessly outsmarted the progressively irritated python. As he sprinted, he surveyed the surroundings, considering he merely needed to locate a secure spot to commence his breakthrough. Just then, he noticed something in the distance. Just then, he noticed something in front. A tiny cave. It was the ideal refuge he had been searching for. A location where he could be secure from the python and concentrate on his progress. Ideal, he considered, and promptly sprinted towards the cave's opening. The python, still in fervent chase, lunged one final time. But Su Hong plunged into the security of the cave just in the nick of time. The python attempted to pursue him inside, but its enormous body was too big for the opening, and it became lodged at the entrance. Confined and furious, caught and furious, all the python could manage was bellow in exasperation. Within, Su Hong coolly focused his gaze on his system. He summoned his status window. He raised his status window. It displayed his vitality at 96, spirit at 23, and physique as human body, 3%. All his abilities, Raging Sea Spear Technique, Thunder Rush Fist, Vajra Fist, Floating Light Palm, and Void Step were at the ideal level. Most crucially, his martial value was at a robust 504. Without delaying a moment, he started allocating all his points into his attributes, mentally encouraging the system to accelerate. His aim was to acquire as much strength as possible. His objective was to acquire as much strength as possible in the briefest period. He concentrated on his vigor, and as the points poured in, he felt a fierce warmth spread through his body, as if lava were coursing through his veins. In a matter of instants, his vitality reached 100. Outside the cavern, even the ensnared python appeared to sense a dreadful shift in the atmosphere. A new alert emerged. Breakthrough successful, Tier 1 martial artist. Su Hong felt a rush of power and reflected to himself, "I've finally become a genuine martial artist." He tightened his fist. He tightened his hand, sensing a strong energy surround him. Gazing at the battling python, he proclaimed, "Now it's my moment." For the initial time, the python experienced authentic fear. It frantically attempted to drag its body out of the cave opening, wishing only to flee, but Su Hong provided it no such opportunity. He directed his newfound power into an exceptionally strong blow. Still stuck in the doorway, the python had no means to evade the strike. The blow landed with immense power. The strike connected with immense strength, propelling the enormous creature backward with a distressed roar. The sheer might behind the hit was astonishing. The immense force behind the strike was incredible, a striking difference to the boy it had merely been pursuing. But Su Hong wasn't finished yet. Before the python could even regain its composure, he was in motion. He jumped into the air. He jumped into the sky, landing on the creature's enormous body. With a strong roar of his own, with a mighty bellow of his own, he released a barrage of Vajra fist strikes. Each blow struck with crushing power. Pounding the enormous serpent into the earth. The earth fractured and splintered. The soil fractured and splintered under the continuous strikes. The python flailed frantically, but it was entirely overpowered by the unyielding onslaught. Ultimately, with one final groundbreaking hit, with one final earth-shaking strike, the python became motionless. Dust and fumes filled the atmosphere. Dirt and fumes filled the atmosphere from the sheer power of the conflict. When it ultimately cleared, Su Hong was standing victoriously on the now vanquished enormous python. He received a notification for +92 martial worth. He received an alert for +92 combat value. Su Hong contemplated that while the python was already wounded, his newfound power enabled him to confront it directly, something that would have been unfeasible just moments prior. His mind then shifted to the prize. His reflections then shifted to the prize. Typically, you had to sever a creature's left ear as evidence of the hunt, but snakes lacked ears. He was briefly perplexed on what to do. He chose to concern himself with it later. He chose to fret about it later and began making his way back. The woods were now unsettlingly silent, the sole indication of the tumultuous pursuit being the path of devastation left in its aftermath. As he strolled, he encountered the corpses of the men who had attempted to surprise him. Noticing their condition, probably other casualties of the python, Su Hong remarked that they got off lightly. His thoughts then shifted to the advanced combat skill their chief had employed. His quest bore fruit. He discovered a guide on Yifeng's body. Void-breaking finger, he read, a look of curiosity on his face. This is becoming intriguing. Instead of departing right away, he opted to remain close to the cave. He ignited a fire and positioned himself beside the enormous python remains to examine his new trophy. He commenced reviewing the manual. He commenced examining the guide and with his improved skills swiftly retained the complete preliminary technique for the void-breaking finger. Now all that remained was to utilize his system. To conquer it in record time. As he commenced his training through the system, a duplicate of himself appeared in front of him, prepared for a battle. The duplicate didn't restrain itself, instantly assaulting him with the void-shattering finger repeatedly. By practicing with the clone, Su Hong's expertise in the technique soared, ascending swiftly beyond 51%, 63%, 77%, and then 93%. Before long, a notification verified. A message verified that his void-breaking finger had attained the basic realm and his advancement toward the next tier commenced. The training left Su Hong utterly drained. He coughed, observing that as a B-rank ability, even attaining the fundamental realm imposed tremendous stress on his physique. The system then urged him to locate a genuine monster to evaluate his new strength. 3 days afterward, Su Hong faced a fresh challenge, a colossal, growling, bear-like creature. He applied his new ability to the challenge, utilizing the void-breaking finger to confront the creature directly, and ultimately he triumphed. Following the difficult struggle, after the challenging conflict, Su Hong felt he had ultimately acquired the technique. This ability is certainly deserving of a B-rank martial technique, he stated with contentment. A system alert verified that void-breaking finger had attained the flawless level. With his newfound strength established, Su Hong resolved it was finally time to return. Back at the martial artist headquarters. Back at the martial artist headquarters. A sizable throng was assembled around the mission desk, buzzing with enthusiasm. Someone in the throng shouted in astonishment. Somebody in the audience shouted in astonishment. 230,000. Another individual commented that the Thunder Squad must be exceptionally talented to have slain so many fierce creatures. A third person mentioned that a catch like that was equivalent to several months of strenuous effort for the majority of individuals. Someone else noted. Another individual highlighted the caliber of the eliminations, observing that they were all Tier 1 creatures, with not a single unranked one among them, and even a few high-level monsters. Just as the audience was astonished. Just as the audience was astonished by the Thunder Squad score, the receptionist glanced at Su Hong's stack of trophies. Her eyes widened with surprise as she declared his results. 72 Tier 1 initial stage creatures, 83 middle stage, 17 high stage, for a total prize of 406,000 Blue Star coins. Observing the response, noticing the response, Su Hong began to lament his choice. He reflected that he may have gone too far. A collection this substantial was exceedingly noticeable. He could merely wish it didn't draw undesirable issues. The audience burst into cheers. The audience burst forth. The figure was so astonishing that individuals couldn't trust what they were listening to. As Su Hong navigated his path. As Su Hong navigated through the astonished crowd, a sudden uproar erupted at the base entrance. Yells echoed, with individuals questioning how the base could possibly be under siege with so many elite martial artists present. The uproar wasn't from an assault. The disturbance wasn't from an assault, but from the vigorous entrance of a significant individual. The throng separated to unveil a man walking through with a team of protectors. It was Yi Qi. It was Yi Qi, the individual responsible for the base and Yifeng's uncle. With a stern demeanor, he instructed his personnel to seal off the entire base. Don't allow a single fly to escape, he directed. His guards promptly proceeded to execute the command. Another overseer rushed over. Another manager rushed over, inquiring Yi Qi what was happening. Yi Qi's tone was frigid. Yi Qi's tone was frigid, as he responded. My nephew, Yi Feng, and the 4 fighters accompanying him, are all deceased. A stunned quietness. A stunned quiet descended upon the audience. Individuals started to murmur in incredulity that young Master Yi Feng and his whole team were eradicated. However, not everyone was unhappy. One individual murmured that it was a fine elimination, since Yi Feng had stolen from nearly everyone at the base. Another remarked that if it weren't for his influential uncle, someone would have handled him long ago. Disregarding the murmurs, Yi Qi proclaimed the true cause for the lockdown. A precious B-rank combat technique was absent from Yifeng's physique. He commanded a search of every martial practitioner in the base, stating that no one departs until they were exonerated of doubt. Listening to this, hearing this, Su Hong experienced a moment of solace. He believed that the condition of the corpses clearly indicated the enormous python as the murderer, so the demise shouldn't be linked back to him. However, as the inquiry advanced, he began to feel uncomfortable. He observed individuals looking in his direction and murmuring among themselves, and he started to suspect this investigation might be aimed at him particularly. His anxieties were validated. When Yi Qi, accompanied by his protectors, approached him directly. On the exterior, Yi Qi's manner was courteous. I heard you eliminated over 400,000 worth of savage creatures all by yourself, he stated, commending Su Hong's abilities. But his composed words were contradicted by the threatening red aura blazing around him, making it evident that he was far from satisfied. It appeared he already had suspicions. Su Hong maintained a composed expression on his face, but internally, he recognized the reality. He was significantly more powerful now. Deep within, he even began to contemplate if he could genuinely overcome this man if circumstances truly went awry. The White Fox's father. The White Fox's dad spoke up first. He mentioned he heard that Su Hong defeated fierce creatures valued at 400,000 credits all by himself, acknowledging that was quite remarkable for a student. However, the lady standing next, the lady positioned beside him, wasn't convinced. She contended that Su Hong resembled a novice one early-stage combatant at best, so there was no chance he could slay that many creatures. She charged him with thievery from young Master Yesbag and promptly commanded her followers to examine him. As soon as the command left her lips, two hefty men with fire blazing in their hands began approaching Su Hong. One of them issued him a stern caution: "Do not oppose, or this would turn unpleasant." But in the flash of an eye, the circumstance turned. One of the men abruptly discovered a spear point aimed directly at his face. The guard halted. The sentinel halted and inquired what Su Hong believed he was doing. Su Hong coolly replied it was nothing, maintaining the spear firm. The individual was utterly astonished because he didn't even witness Su Hong unsheathe the armament. It was simply too swift. Su Hong then declared that he was a pupil of Star City High No. 1. He gazed at them and inquired if they truly wished to impose a search on a student from that institution. Hearing the school's title, listening to the institution's name, the White Fox's father paused. He understood the head of High School No. 1 was renowned for being exceptionally safeguarding of his pupils. That was not an individual he wished to upset over a minor matter. Yet she still believed the entire situation seemed suspicious. If this child truly pursued all those creatures, he was a prodigy. But if they were mistaken and they insulted a prodigious student, it wouldn't be worth the hassle. He gestured for his men to halt and advanced himself. He clarified that his nephew was assaulted and a hidden family method was taken, so he had no option but to locate the offender. He mentioned that he wished Su Hong would assist. Su Hong merely responded that he just wished they weren't blaming the incorrect individual. Yet she then proposed 10,000 credits as compensation for the inconvenience of locating him and inquired if that seemed reasonable. Su Hong responded instantly, requesting 30,000. In his mind, he understood Ye Fong was essentially slain by the enormous python. As long as they didn't discover the purloin technique on him, they couldn't demonstrate anything. Yet she consented to the cost. Su Hong extended his arms and allowed them to examine him. While the men inspected his pockets, the woman rummaged through his bag. Su Hong advised them to search thoroughly because he didn't want any misleading gossip trailing him afterward. When they completed, the men stated that they discovered absolutely nothing. Yet she nodded, instructed them to compensate Su Hong the 30,000 credits and allow him to depart. Departing, Su Hong reflected that it was fortunate he tidied up the area thoroughly. If he hadn't, he would have faced significant issues today. Yet she faced the audience and shouted for the hunt to persist, declaring that no one departed until the burglar was located. In the meantime, Su Hong devised his subsequent action. He wished to bathe and change, then proceed directly to the Martial Artist Association to enroll for the evaluation. He required to obtain a suitable coaching method as quickly as possible. A short while later, Su Hong was relaxing at the subterranean hotel in the martial artist base. He accessed his system interface and reviewed his points. He was astonished to find he had 534 martial points. He recognized he was so occupied training the world-shattering finger and pursuing beasts that he neglected to utilize them. His stats appeared favorable. Vitality was above 103, spirit was at 23, and his physique, the mortal form, was at 6%. All his skills, void-shattering finger, raging sea spear technique, and void step were mastered. Examining the figures, Su Hong observed that rank 1 early stage required 100 vitality, but mid-stage required 200. He calculated and recognized that even if he allocated all his points to vitality, he would still be lacking approximately 40 points for mid-stage. He chose to investigate spirit and mortal frame instead to determine what enhancing those would accomplish. His spirit was at 23. His essence was at 23 and physical body was at 6%. Since he had points to spare, he chose to experiment with it. He enhanced his essence, observing it increase by 0.1 at a time. After expending some points, he acknowledged he didn't truly feel any different. Feel any distinct. Next, he attempted augmenting his mortal form by 0.1 at a time. This time, the outcome was immediate. He sensed a noticeable enhancement in physical power right away, so he chose to continue adding points there. Observing his martial points. Observing his martial points decrease rapidly, he chose to halt enhancing the mortal frame for the time being. He shifted focus and invested 200 martial points into his vitality instead. Following the modifications. After the modifications, his physical body was resting at 36.1%. He chose to allocate any remaining points into his spirit. The instant he completed, a colossal surge of crimson energy erupted around him. He sensed an infinite quantity of strength ascending from within his physique. After a brief period, the energy diminished and his body gradually reverted to its usual condition. He exhaled a lengthy breath. He exhaled a lengthy sigh, grateful to return to his usual size. He believed it would have been quite uncomfortable to clarify to others why he abruptly transformed into a colossal muscle man. An hour later, Su-hong reached the Star City Martial Artist Association, a massive structure encircled by skyscrapers. He approached the front desk. He approached the front counter and informed the receptionist he was present for the evaluation. The woman nodded and stated a team member would lead him to the examination area shortly. As he accompanied a team member, as he pursued a staff member along the corridor, she remarked on how youthful he appeared and inquired if it was his initial time. She clarified the regulations. To qualify as a rank 1 martial artist, he required a minimum of 100 vitality and a combat strength exceeding 1,000. She wished him fortune and Su-hong expressed his gratitude courteously. Individuals in the waiting zone began murmuring. One man indicated that the child arrived solo without a mentor or instructor. Another visitor remarked that since he was so youthful, he was likely just here to observe what the examination was like, not to genuinely succeed. Abruptly, the room became noisy. Abruptly, the chamber became noisy as a disturbance erupted near the testing devices. A device declared that a man named Pangea had 102 energy, but his battle strength was merely 992. That indicated he fell short. Pangea swore vocally, exasperated that he missed the target by such a slight margin. Su-hong and the employee entered the examination area. Just then, another notification came through. Li Ming had a vigor of 105 and had succeeded. The system instructed him to proceed to the strength test. Li Ming advanced. Li Ming approached the punching device, wound up, and delivered a powerful punch. The display illuminated the figure 1763. He succeeded effortlessly. Someone in the audience inhaled sharply. Someone in the throng inhaled sharply, observing that 1763 was nearly the strength level of a rank 1 mid-stage combatant. Another individual inquired if this was the apprentice of Zhang Ming from the Furious Thunder Dojo. A spectator validated it, stating it was logical that he was a prodigy since he employed the renowned Thunderclap Fist. Su-hong caught the name. Su-hong listened to the name and rubbed his head. He believed Zhang Ming's pupil was called Li Yen. He pondered just how many learners that fellow truly had. Li Ming strolled back. Li Ming strolled back from the device and gazed at Su-hong, informing him he was next. As Su-hong advanced, Li Ming observed him. He concluded that since Su-hong was undertaking the exam at such a tender age, he must be a prodigy as well. He acknowledged Su-hong was exceptional, but he questioned whether the boy could match him. Abruptly, the crowd yelled. Abruptly, the audience shouted in astonishment. Individuals were shouting, inquiring if the device was malfunctioning because they couldn't trust the figure they were observing. Even the conceited Li Ming turned around in astonishment. The staff member declared that Su-hong's energy was 123. He cleared the first round effortlessly. Li Ming murmured. Li Ming whispered that it had to be unfeasible. He attempted to soothe himself, considering that energy wasn't the sole aspect that counted. Fighting strength was the true challenge. He reminded himself he could still be the top student here. The officer summoned. The officer requested for the combat strength assessment to commence, and Su-hong was directed over to the punching apparatus. Standing in front of the objective, Su-hong contemplated his statistics. He was already a fighter and had enhanced his physique, so his sheer power was significantly greater than before. He contemplated utilizing merely 40% of his strength, believing that ought to be sufficient to succeed. But then he fretted. If he restrained himself excessively and did not meet the 1,000-point criterion, he would appear foolish. To be cautious, to be secure, he opted to utilize 50%. He delivered the blow with alarming velocity and power. Even at half capacity, the force was excessive. The punching apparatus was propelled straight off its base, soared into the wall, and shattered into fragments. The devastation was complete and the room fell silent. Everyone was gazing with their mouths agape. Li Ming appeared frightened, realizing Su-hong had just obliterated the tester with a single strike. The quiet shattered into loud exclamations as Li Ming recognized the most frightening aspect. Su-hong didn't even employ a martial arts maneuver. That was merely unrefined strength. Someone in the audience pointed out that a rank 1 high-stage combatant typically possessed around 3,000 fighting power. This outcome was entirely off the charts. Another individual seized a teacher's arm and shouted that it was that kid again, labeling him an absolute beast. The teacher nodded. The instructor nodded, stating that clarified everything. Meanwhile, in an elevated office, a woman was seated at her desk. This was Wu Lingxian, the chairperson of the Star City Martial Arts Association. She was expressing her frustration about the adjacent Yang City branch, lamenting that they wouldn't cease boasting about their new prodigy. She feared that if Star City didn't discover some skill soon, she might genuinely lose her position. Abruptly, a man rushed into her office, shouting that a creature had emerged in the evaluation hall. Wu Lingxian glared at him for shouting, evidently taken aback. The man swiftly clarified. A rank 1 early-stage child just propelled the testing device through the air with sheer physical power, achieving a combat strength of 3,000. Wu Lingxian hesitated. Wu Lingxian halted, finding it difficult to accept. But then she understood. This could be the precise miracle she had been anticipating. The main hall of the Martial Artist Association was filled with energy. Individuals were moving about, some were conversing, some were standing watch, and others were assisting wounded fighters to walk, while many simply gazed around in wonder. Two men were conversing nearby. One informed Brother Su-hong that he'd escort him to the second floor to register his martial artist identity first, and after that they could go gather his allowance. Su-hong graciously thanked him for the assistance. Suddenly, someone interrupted, declaring that Su-hong was finished with the basics and that she would manage him personally. The guide was astonished, realizing it was the president herself. He couldn't believe she would come down to manage this in person. To her, this issue was vital and she didn't want any errors. She directed her attention to the young man and verified that he must be Su-hong. She presented herself as Wu Lingxian, the leader of the Star City division of the Martial Tao Association, and merely instructed him to accompany her. Su-hong consented, referring to her as president. Internally, he was astonished. He remembered whispers that the president was a formidable Tier 8 rank 5 martial artist, but she appeared distinct from what he had envisioned. Instants later, within the president's personal office, the pair settled down to engage in a serious discussion. Wu Lingxian observed that Su-hong was a pupil at Star City No. 1 High School. She stated that the headmaster, Li Changshan, had expressed his concerns to her previously. He was displeased that the institution had only yielded 2 average Tier 1 martial artists this year, entirely overlooking a concealed talent like Su Hong. Su Hong felt somewhat anxious. Su Hong felt a little anxious. He inquired why she had taken him to her office, clarifying that he had merely come here to enroll, receive his stipend, and collect a fundamental guidance method. Wu Lingxian gestured. Wu Lingxian gestured with her hand, instructing him to calm down. She clarified that her assistants were already handling his identification and funds. Regarding the guidance method, she planned to instruct him herself. She rose to her feet. She rose and inquired of him straightforwardly, how much did he truly comprehend about mentoring methods? Su Hong pondered. Su Hong pondered for a moment. He recited the textbook explanation. The heaven and earth spiritual key possessed attributes, and a guidance technique was a method to gather that energy to enhance the body. He mentioned that various attributes necessitated particular techniques to absorb them. The president prolonged. The president stretched out her hand, summoning a tiny fire. She clarified that the textbook wasn't incorrect, but coaching techniques were more than merely basic cultivation methods. She disclosed that her celestial flame direction method absorbed fire attribute energy. While it enhanced her physique, it also infused her strikes with lethal firepower. She mentioned that mastering outside assaults could enhance reach. However, she observed that for a Tier 1 martial artist, merely possessing a hint of the element was remarkable. Enveloping an entire fist in it was almost unfeasible for novices. Su Hong was astonished. Su Hong was astonished that these methods could be utilized for assaulting. He confessed he believed they were solely for gathering energy to advance, as the textbooks had never referenced combat uses. The leader persisted with her instruction. The mystical key possessed 7 qualities: metal, wood, water, fire, earth, thunder, and wind. Although each had advantages and disadvantages, regarding sheer devastation, thunder ranked first, metal was second, and fire was third. However, you couldn't merely select any component. It relied on your inherent compatibility. Su Hong nodded, understanding now that a martial artist was constrained by their own body's affinity. The president concurred. The leader consented and retrieved a crystal sphere to assess his compatibility. She clarified that the more it illuminated, the greater the connection. Typical martial practitioners generally only possessed about 20 to 30%. She stated that her own inclination was around 80%, which was regarded as exceptional. However, she thought a prodigy like Su Hong would certainly surpass 90%. As the fire disappeared, Su Hong grasped the crystal sphere. He contemplated how President Wu had attained Tier 5 mastery at such a young age. She was a genuine prodigy. If she was merely at 80%, achieving 90% himself would be truly remarkable. Suddenly, abruptly, the crystal sphere started to glow, becoming more luminous and luminous until it was dazzling. The leader inhaled sharply, declaring that it was filled. She hadn't anticipated this whatsoever. She declared that Su Hong's fire attribute compatibility was a flawless 100%. She gazed at him intently and inquired if he comprehended what that signified. She moved nearer, brimming with admiration. Su Hong confessed he doesn't understand the importance. The president clarified that this indicated he could take in 100% of the fire attribute energy without squandering a single drop. She clarified that with her 80% compatibility, she forfeited 20% of the energy during absorption. Nevertheless, even with that loss, she had transformed into a Tier 5 martial artist and the president of the association. She directed her finger straight at his face. She indicated directly at his face, proclaiming that his destiny would certainly exceed hers. Su Hong perspired anxiously. The president wondered that she had never anticipated a tiny location like Star City to generate a beast comparable to the elites from the imperial capital. While she conversed, Su Hong believed that the fire element was pleasant, but he truly favored thunder. He considered that if only he had great compatibility with thunder, that would be ideal. Suddenly, the crystal sphere. Abruptly, the crystal sphere illuminated once more, but this occasion it fizzed with powerful, booming energy. This fresh occurrence, this fresh advancement astonished the president even further. Su Hong gazed at the sphere and observed that his thunder attribute compatibility also appeared to be 100%. The president was utterly voiceless. She remained there bewildered, pondering if she was imagining things. Thunder and fire. Thunder and flame dual characteristics at 100%. She could only deduce that this boy was an absolute beast. Then the radiance changed once more. Su Hong mentioned that his wind attribute affinity also appeared to be 100%. The president gazed in astonishment, pondering how something this absurd was even feasible. A couple of moments later, she collapsed back onto the sofa, completely overwhelmed, while Su Hong silently observed her descend into disbelief and anxiety. She whispered that this wasn't correct. Every single component was complete, all at 100%. She persuaded herself she must be imagining. She pondered that she once regarded herself a top-level prodigy. After all, a 30-year-old Tier 5 combatant was exceptionally uncommon. But after encountering someone who challenged all conventional wisdom, she understood she was merely a typical individual in contrast. She understood that only another beast could ever aspire to comprehend or conquer a beast like him. She whispered to herself about realities that common individuals simply could not grasp. Su Hong shattered the quiet, observing that all 7 characteristics were at 100%. He lamented that if he solely developed thunder and disregarded the other 6, it seemed like a significant waste. It was genuinely quite troubling for him. He then audaciously inquired of the president if she could simply provide him the guidance methods for all 7 qualities. The president became quiet. She ultimately clarified that human energy was finite. Regardless of how exceptional his ability was, it was preferable to concentrate on 1 or 2. She cautioned him that someone in the past had attempted to develop all 7 simultaneously. And after decades, that individual was still trapped as a Tier 1 martial artist. Su Hong asserted that he couldn't determine right then. He wished to attempt cultivating all of them first and select a focus later. The president hesitantly consented but warned him earnestly. He absolutely must not waste his God-given talent. Then she altered the topic, inquiring if his school's monthly assessment was approaching shortly. Su Hong nodded affirmatively, asking why she was curious. The president clarified that tension in the all-heavens battleground was escalating. The massive conflict between the 10,000 species and humanity could ignite at any instant. Due to this, countries were investing resources into a specialized genius training facility. She wished to suggest Su Hong for it, but there was a stipulation. He had to achieve first position in his school's monthly test. If he triumphed, she would guarantee his place. Su Hong contemplated the battle of the 10,000 races. He reminisced about the struggle that had occurred over 10 years ago. He remembered failing. He remembered losing all his kin except his uncle and aunt when he was young. He informed the president he comprehended and would strive diligently. In his heart, he pledged to never allow that misfortune occur again. He had to become powerful enough to safeguard his family. That evening, returning home, Su Hong enthusiastically declared to his uncle and aunt that he had become a certified martial artist. He proudly showcased his new qualifications. His uncle and aunt began shedding tears of happiness. They declared that little Hong had genuinely triumphed. His aunt remarked that he had indeed accomplished something significant and she was so proud of his ability. Su Hong disclosed that a top-tier martial artist received a monthly stipend of $10,000, so his uncle didn't have to toil so hard anymore. His uncle grinned. stating that little Hong was now the cornerstone of the family, and he'd heed whatever he said from that point on. Su Hong quietly vowed to himself that from this instant onward, he would bear the burden of the whole family on his shoulders. Later that evening, solitary in his chamber, Su Hong settled down to contemplate deeply. When he opened his eyes abruptly, they were shining with a profound crimson glow. He tightened his fist. He tightened his hand, and smoke gradually wafted out from his digits. He pondered if this was the fundamental tier of the guidance method. It appeared feeble. He doubted why it seemed like it possessed no strength whatsoever. Then he observed a new entry on his system panel. The instruction method had emerged, confirming he had successfully acquired it. Examining the status specifics, he noticed it was presently at Tier 1. He began contemplating, could guidance methods be enhanced like abilities? President Wu had never indicated this. If these methods had tiers, she certainly would have informed him. A sudden epiphany struck him. What if he was the sole one who could enhance them? What if he could independently elevate his cultivation method? If you are thrilled to witness just how strong he becomes, hit that subscribe button right now and activate notifications so you don't miss the next installment. Su Hong gazed intently at the radiant blue screen. He contemplated how to enhance guidance methods and if they advanced in the same manner as martial worth. As he pressed the panel, as he contacted the window, a crimson alert illuminated. Inadequate martial worth. Su Hong exhaled. He resolved to develop the alternative guidance methods initially and determine how to acquire more martial worth afterward. He positioned himself cross-legged. He perched cross-legged on the rooftop, encircled by books. Blazes of spiritual energy erupted around him, illuminating the vicinity. Hours later, Su Hong's interview displayed 7 radiant points of spiritual qi. Each point symbolized a distinct technique like thunder, water marsh, thick earth, and spirit wind. The 7 varied attributes pressed against one another. Su Hong gritted. Su Hong clenched his jaw, perspiring. He comprehended why President Wu mentioned a prodigy mastering 7 methods remained Tier 1 for years. He persisted in directing the force, attempting to manage the energy as fire surged around him. He observed that while all 7 varieties of qi were present in his body, he could only utilize one at a time. A sphere of blazing qi materialized in his hand as he inhaled deeply. The fire spiraled in his grasp. He understood that if he compelled a second characteristic, the powers would clash and result in a fierce detonation. A massive blast of energy trembled the rooftop, causing both qualities to vanish. Su Hong squinted his eyes. Could thunder and flame not be merged? Their essences felt alike, so why did they oppose one another? He attempted once more. Thunder and fire flashes encircled his fingers. When the powers collided, another detonation erupted, dispersing the energy. Perspiring, Su Hong gritted his teeth and declined to surrender. He shouted to attempt once more. Sparks erupted from the rooftop all night as he endeavored to merge the characteristics. At daybreak, the structure still shimmered dimly from the embers of Su Hong's relentless practice. Breathing laboriously, panting intensely with perspiration streaming down his face, he reminded himself he merely required a bit more. Thunder and fire, lightning and fire flickered in his grasp. He gazed at it, asserting he only required a small amount more. Gritting his teeth, he yelled for the strength to merge. Lightning and fire encircled his arms as he compelled the energies together. A brilliant flame erupted. A vivid blaze erupted in his hand. After attempting all night, he ultimately triumphed. He gazed at the flame with gratitude. He gazed at the fire with comfort. Adjusting his attire, he resolved it was time to venture out and assess the strength. At Star City's Citizen Martial Arts Square, A spacious plaza with a clock tower, training automatons stood prepared. Su Hong stood before. Su Hong stood in front of a spider-shaped combat evaluator. He observed that he had transitioned to a Tier 3 evaluator, wishing this one wouldn't malfunction. Recalling that 50% energy. Recalling that 50% strength attained 3,000 earlier, he chose to attempt 30% strength initially. He hit with his radiant fist. He hit with his radiant fist. The outcome exceeded 2,300. He was astonished. At 30% power, it ought to have been approximately 1,800, but it had risen by 500. He gazed at the lightning in his grasp. The force of thunder alone was already quite potent. Then he tightened his hand to target. Then he tightened his fist to target. He pondered how powerful the merged lightning and flame would be, then unleashed the united strength. His strike crashed into the evaluator. His strike collided with the tester with immense velocity and strength. The display illuminated 3041. The display flickered 3041. Su Hong gazed in astonishment. It was much greater than anticipated. He murmured in disbelief, pondering how it exceeded 3,000. Rubbing his hands next to the broken tester, he recognized that 30% of his combined strength already exceeded a Tier 1 high-stage martial artist. He looked at his status and sighed. His vitality was merely 123, making the outcome even more frightening. If the strength was this potent with 2 attributes, if the energy was this potent with 2 characteristics, what sort of power would he possess merging all 7? The notion filled him with enthusiasm. Observing the fires illuminating in his hand, observing the fire illuminating in his grasp, he grinned. He resolved to attempt merging 3 qualities next time. Subsequently, he reclined horizontally on the rooftop, fatigued. Later, he reclined flat on the rooftop, fatigued, shirtless, and perspiring. He inhaled deeply as tiny lights hovered around. Combining 2 traits was difficult, but merging 3 seemed significantly tougher. He had reorganized all 7 designs repeatedly, but achieved no advancement. Still, he envisioned the strength if he triumphed. He examined the system, pondering if enhancing his methods would assist. The display enumerated his level 1 techniques like lightning, fire, and liquid. He recalled the monthly assessment was the following day, and he needed to acquire martial worth. The next day, pupils assembled at Star City. The following day, students assembled at Star City No. 1 High School. The principal stepped onto the stage. The principal declared this test was unique. The headmaster declared this test was distinct. Due to frontline stress, a unique training camp would now be conducted annually to choose prodigies. He clarified the camp possessed assets like potent techniques, uncommon potions, and grandmaster mentors. The leading 3 pupils in the test would enter the Star City training camp. The students grew enthusiastic. The pupils became thrilled, yelling about the brilliant training camp. Others were astonished that a Tier 7 grandmaster might instruct, since their headmaster was only Tier 3. Su Hong gazed ahead wearily. President Wu had mentioned if he secured first place, she would grant him a position. But didn't the top 3 all obtain positions anyway? A companion informed Su Hong that Chun Shan and Li Tu were now Tier 1 martial artists, and others had mastered Thunder Rush Fist. Su Hong appeared perplexed. He had only missed 10 days, yet they had already advanced. He clarified that the headmaster requested instructor Chun Tian to provide private sessions. Now Chun Shan and Li Tu's vitality surpassed 100, and their Thunder Rush Fist could resonate 3 times. Suddenly Chun Shan and Li Tu approached. One stated he wanted everyone to recognize who the true genius was. The other responded that he hoped he would remain confident after being defeated. As the headmaster departed the platform, Educator Chen Tian inquired if he discovered the prodigy who utilized the 9 Echoes Thunder Rush Fist. Headmaster Li stated he looked everywhere, but didn't believe the individual was from his institution. While conversing, they heard commotion behind them and turned. They heard sound behind them and turned. A man in a dark suit approached with two others. It was Zhang Ming, Su Hong's spear instructor, with Li Ming and Li Yan. Zhang Ming joked, asking Principal Li why he appeared so gloomy. The principal inquired why Zhang Ming was present. The headmaster inquired why Zhang Ming was present. Zhang Ming grinned, stating the pupils appeared feeble. He brought two apprentices and proposed allowing the top student to practice with them after the test. Headmaster Li's demeanor stiffened. Principal Li's demeanor stiffened. Zhang Ming had arrived to humiliate him. If he declined, it would acknowledge his school had no ability. Zhang Ming remarked the students appeared feeble. Zhang Ming stated the pupils appeared frail, so he would comprehend a rejection. Instructor Chun Tian retorted, inquiring if Zhang Ming was seeking conflict. Close by, Zhang Ming's pupil Li Yan gestured at the throng. Nearby, Zhang Ming's pupil Li Yan indicated at the throng. He informed his instructor there was unfortunate news. Su Hong was present. Zhang Ming was perplexed and inquired which Su. Turning toward the pupils, he identified Su Hong positioned at the rear. Zhang Ming exclaimed in astonishment, realizing it was that same little creature. Su Hong gazed at them serenely with a slight grin. Zhang Ming stared in disbelief, perspiring. Zhang Ming gazed in astonishment, perspiring. He understood the child they mentioned was indeed from number 1 high school. He glanced at his students, concerned. He gazed at his followers, distressed. If Li Yan and Li Ming battled Su Hong, they would be defeated. He needed to evade the contest to preserve his dignity. He swiftly grinned, advising Principal Li not to be upset. He swiftly grinned, informing Principal Li not to be upset. He stated he was jesting, and there would be no contest, labeling his own apprentices worthless compared to the pupils. Li Yan and Li Ming promptly yielded. Principal Li and Instructor Chun were enraged. Believing these men were ridiculing them ironically. Soon at the arena, a boisterous announcement. Soon at the venue, a loud declaration summoned match number 666, Su Hong to commence. From the bleachers, Su Hong's companion observed nervously. He noticed Su Hong's rival was a semi-martial artist, which was unfortunate. He yelled to Su Hong not to overexert himself or get hurt so soon. The adversary, Chun Ping, advanced. The rival, Chun Ping, advanced. He inquired if Su Hong intended to descend or be forced down. He tightened his fist to advance assuredly. He tightened his hand to prepare assuredly. But before he could respond, Su Hong shifted. He vanished and immediately materialized in front of Chun Ping. With one swift blow, he propelled Chun Ping through the air. The collision turned Chun Ping upside down. The effect turned Chun Ping upside down, and he slammed forcefully onto the ground. Everyone gazed in astonishment. One student inquired when Su Hong became so intense, while others were speechless. Su Hong remained composed in the haze. Su Hong stood serenely in the haze. Everyone understood he had conquered a quasi-martial artist in a single strike. Su Hong stood composed over his vanquished rival. The audience yelled in astonishment, questioning how he became so powerful, with some speculating he was already a Tier 1 martial artist. They declared the concluding match would take place next. In the bleachers, Instructor Chen gazed at Su Hong. Puzzled about where this pupil originated and why he skipped private coaching. Principal Li reproached himself for not recognizing him sooner. Principal Li believed he had squandered a gift by not mentoring Su Hong earlier. Instructor Chun remarked that Su Hong appeared recognizable, but couldn't recall where he had encountered him. They shifted their focus to the semifinal contest between Chun Shan and Li Tuesday, observing that the victor would be determined shortly. Watching the battle, they noticed the two were evenly balanced. Observing the battle, they noticed the two were equally matched, rendering the victor difficult to foresee. On stage, Li Tu cautioned Chen Shan. That since they both employed the 3 Echoes Thunder Rush Fist, Chun required his most powerful move to triumph. Li Tu then struck with maximum intensity. Li Tu lunged, smashing his fist down forcefully. Li Tu struck, smashing his fist down forcefully. Chun Shan yelled as he defended, the force sending gusts across the ground. Chun Shan's fist erupted with fire. Chun Shan's hand erupted with fire. He shouted at Li Tu to observe carefully, proclaiming himself the school's genuine top contender. The pupils exclaimed in astonishment. The pupils yelled in astonishment that Chun Shan had perfected attribute externalization. They acknowledged the potent fire attribute, second only to lightning. Li Tu advanced with a grin. Li Tu advanced with a grin, energy coursing like liquid around his arm. He sneered that attribute externalization was nothing remarkable. The students gasped once more, noticing Li Tu also had externalized attributes. His was metal, even more powerful than fire in battle. Metallic chains spiraled around Li Tu's fists. Metallic links spiraled around Li Tu's hands as he rushed forward to strike. His blows resonated 5 times. His strikes reverberated 5 times. Chun Shan was astonished to witness Li Tu unleash the 5 echoes thunder rush fist. A fierce collision ensued. A forceful collision ensued. Li Tu's blow propelled his adversary rearward, transmitting shock waves throughout the arena. Principal Li and Instructor Chun were astonished. Principal Li and Teacher Chun were astonished. Li observed Li Tu had concealed his power, while Chen admired that Li Tu mastered attribute externalization and the micro-level thunder rush fist in merely 10 days. Principal Li stated the final was meaningless. Su Hong couldn't surpass Li Tu's metal attribute. Chun sighed, mentioning Su Hong might have had a possibility if he understood a guidance technique. Jiang Ming assuredly wagered 50,000 on Su Hong. Jiang Ming assuredly wagered 50,000 on Su Hong. Astonished, Li labeled him insane for wagering on someone without a coaching method. Chun chuckled, pleased to seize the effortless cash. The ultimate clash commenced. The ultimate clash commenced. Li Tu versus Su Hong. Pupils applauded, some for Su Hong, others encouraging Li Tu to triumph. The combatants entered the platform. Li Tu informed Su Hong he was fortunate to arrive at the finals. Li Tu informed Su Hong he was fortunate to arrive at the finals without encountering him or Chun Shan previously. Su Hong stayed composed. After pursuing creatures, these students appeared feeble, but Li Tu finally resembled a deserving rival. Li Tu smiled, labeling Su Hong the second most powerful. Su Hong merely inquired who the first was. Li Tu thumped the earth, proclaiming that he was obviously number 1. Li Tu thumped the earth, proclaiming that he was inherently number 1. He charged, asserting one strike would reveal the vast divide between them. Students were alarmed, witnessing Li Tu employ the 5 echoes. Students freaked out, witnessing Li Tu employ the 5 echoes thunder rush fist instantly. They dreaded it was already finished for Su Hong, but Su Hong's eyes shone with golden light. But Su Hong's gaze shimmered with golden radiance as strength accumulated within him. Fire erupted from his hand as he rushed. Fires erupted from his hand as he rushed forward, eager to challenge the boundaries of his physical form. The audience shouted that Su Hong was insane. The throng shouted that Su Hong was insane for confronting the assault directly instead of evading. Their hands collided forcefully, trembling the earth. Their hands collided forcefully, trembling the earth. They struck repeatedly, transmitting energy waves through the atmosphere. Su Hong faced the booming assault head-on. Su Hong encountered the thunderous assault directly. Li Tu was astonished that Su Hong halted his 5 echoes fist immediately with merely 5 punches. They battled on, fists clashing in a tempest of strikes. They battled on, fists crashing in a tempest of strikes amidst swirling energy chains. Li Tu clenched his jaw. Every hit from Su Hong felt incredibly weighty, like battling a beast. In the bleachers, an instructor shouted that Su Hong. In the bleachers, an instructor declared that Su Hong was equally competing with Li Tu without employing any combat techniques. His companion yelled that his power was frightening. The officials were astonished. The authorities were astonished. Chun speculated Su Hong possessed a unique physique. Principal Li chuckled. Proud the institution generated such a prodigy. However, Chun observed that despite Su Hong's power, Li Tu's concentrated attributes still provided him the advantage. The confrontation sent both gliding backward. Su Hong stabilized his blazing fist while Li Tu was pushed back several meters. Furious, Li Tu yelled that he would triumph. Furious, Li Tu bellowed that he would triumph. Azure lightning surged around his arms as he energized. He dashed forward, fists encased in energy links, insisting Su Hong acknowledge defeat. Su Hong understood Li Tu was no longer restraining himself. And was assaulting with maximum strength. Since Li Tu exerted himself completely, since Li Tu went all in, Su Hong chose to demonstrate some regard. Flames erupted from his fist as he dashed to confront the assault. Fires erupted from his hand as he dashed to confront the assault. Lightning flashed throughout the arena. Li Tu shouted in surprise, understanding Su Hong could likewise employ attribute externalization. Principal Li and Instructor Chun. Principal Li and Teacher Chun shuddered as golden lightning illuminated the arena, leaving them voiceless. They were astonished Su Hong had perfected the thunder guidance technique. Chun clarified that a unique physique combined with the thunder attribute made him formidable. Su Hong and Li Tu confronted each other again. Su Hong and Li Tu collided again, causing lightning and chains to burst everywhere. Li Tu recognized with concern that Su Hong's thunder characteristic was more powerful than his own metal characteristic. Lightning wrapped around Su Hong. He informed Li Tu that since he disclosed his final technique, he would respond appropriately. Su Hong's eyes shone golden. Su Hong's eyes shimmered gold. He declared his final maneuver and surged forward using the Thunder Rush Fist. His blow struck with a bang. His hit landed forcefully. The collisions resonated swiftly, pushing Li Tu backward as 9 reverberations erupted across the arena. 9 echoes impossible, Li Tu yelled. Blood gushed from his mouth as he fell to the ground. Su Hong loomed above him, lightning still sparking around his hands. The pupils fell quiet, their expressions frozen in sheer astonishment. Someone eventually inquired if he triumphed. Enthusiasm burst forth as they understood Su Hong attained the ideal domain. 9 reverberations exceeding even the educators. Instructor Chun faltered in incredulity. Instructor Chun stammered in astonishment. Principal Li quivered, proclaiming Su Hong not merely a prodigy, but the dragon of Star City High. Chun cleared his perspiration, envisioning how crushed other prodigies in the training camp would be confronting a beast like Su Hong. As Su Hong strolled away, Chun respected him. Chun appreciated him. He mentioned a golden fish changes into a dragon when it encounters the wind. Star City was too tiny for him. Principal Li concurred. He anticipated Su Hong would ascend like a dragon, gleaming most brilliantly in the imperial capital and the arena of 10,000 races.